Today, we're diving deep into the mind of one of China's most complex and, let's be honest, controversial figures, Cao Cao. But we're not going to be looking at his battle plans. Nope, we're looking at something way more personal, his most famous poem. It is an absolute masterpiece of ambition, anxiety, and, well, it's also one of the most brilliant recruitment pitches you will ever see. See, to really get this poem, you first have to understand the paradox of the man himself. On the one hand, you have Cao Cao the warlord. This guy was a brilliant, ruthless strategist who basically clawed his way to the top while the Han Dynasty was crumbling all around him. But then you have Cao Cao the poet, this sensitive, emotionally deep artist who actually founded a whole literary movement. So the big question is always, how can these two completely different people exist in the same body? And this poem might just be the best answer we've got. So we're diving into his short Song Ballad, or Dengahing. Now, this isn't some quiet little poem written in a study somewhere. Oh no, this is a sophisticated, deeply personal, and incredibly powerful recruitment pitch. He wrote this to get the best and brightest minds of his time to come join his cause. You could call it propaganda, sure, but it's the most beautiful piece of propaganda you'll ever read. What's so amazing is how he starts. He doesn't open with big boasts about his power or promises of gold. Instead, he starts with a feeling that every single one of us knows deep down, that nagging, melancholic feeling that our time on this earth is just short. He sets this deeply human, urgent tone right from the very first line. Okay, let's hear the opening lines. First, in the original Chinese,
对酒当歌，人生几何
which translates to, facing wine, one should sing, for how long does a life last? And then he follows with this.
譬如朝露，去日苦多 It is like the morning dew. The days gone by are painfully many.
That first metaphor, morning dew, is just so powerful. I mean, think about it. It's beautiful, it's fragile, and it's gone the second the sun comes up. By comparing our lives to that, Cao Cao instantly connects with his audience. He's not some distant warlord on a throne. He's right there with you, feeling that same weight of time. And this feeling, it's not just a passing thought. It is the engine that drives this entire poem. And he continues, searching for some kind of solution. First, 开荡以慷，忧思难忘. With soaring spirits, one should be generous. Yet these worried thoughts are hard to forget. Then he asks this really crucial question. 何以解忧，唯有杜康. How can one solve this sorrow? Only with Dukang. So you're probably asking, who or what is Dukang? Well, it's not a person he's turning to for help. Dukang is the legendary inventor of wine in Chinese mythology. So by using his name, Cao Cao is poetically just saying wine. It adds this whole layer of cultural depth, you know? He's basically saying that even with wine, the great solver of all sorrows, his particular worries are just too deep to be easily forgotten. So what is he so worried about? And this is where the poem pivots. He pulls back the curtain and reveals that his deep, existential sorrow isn't just about getting old. It's about his mission. His anxiety comes from this desperate, all-consuming need to find brilliant, talented people to help him put the country back together. And now, he starts talking directly to them. Listen to how he speaks to the scholars he's trying to recruit. He begins, 傲清自敬，悠悠我心. Blue are your colors, a lingering thought in my heart. Then he adds, 但为今故，沉饮至今. It is only for your sake that I have been brooding to this day. Okay, this is just pure genius. The blue collars he's talking about, that's what scholars wore. But get this, these lines are a direct quote from the ancient Book of Songs, and in the original, it's a woman desperately longing for her lover. By using these exact words, Cao Cao casts himself as the passionate suitor, and the scholars he wants, well, they become the beloved he can't stop thinking about. It's an incredibly intimate and, frankly, flattering way to recruit someone. He keeps going, making another promise drawn from another classic text. First, 游游鹿鸣，食野之苹. Yo-yo, the deer call, eating the wild artemisia. He continues, 我有嘉宾，鼓瑟吹笙. I have esteemed guests, I will play the zither and pipes. And again, this is another line pulled from the Book of Songs. It's from a famous passage about a host throwing this huge, wonderful feast for his honored guests. The message here is crystal clear. If you come join me, you're not going to be treated like some low-level subordinate. You will be celebrated. You will be honored. This isn't a job offer. It's an invitation to a place where you'll belong and be respected.
But even after making that incredible promise, that anxiety, it creeps back in. The poem now builds to its most famous and emotionally raw part. Here, Cao Cao paints this haunting picture of his deepest fear, that these scholars, the very talent he needs so desperately, might not actually choose him.
The imagery here is just unforgettable. He writes, 月明兮,乌卷南飞. The moon is bright, the stars are few, the crows and magpies fly south. And then comes this haunting question, 绕树三匝,何之可依? Circling a tree 3 times, which branch can they depend on? Just take a moment and really picture that. A vast moonlit sky. And these restless birds, they're far from home, and they can't find a safe place to land. They just circle and circle, endlessly searching. So who are these lost birds? The birds. They're the scholars themselves. See, in a country being torn apart by war, all these brilliant minds were displaced, flying from one warlord to the next, just looking for a worthy leader and a stable cause to believe in. Cao Cao is putting their dilemma into words, showing them, hey, I get it, I understand your uncertainty, and at the same time, he's positioning himself as the one strong branch they can finally land on.
Right, so after sharing in that anxiety, Cao Cao makes his final undeniable pitch. He stops with the subtle hints and moves to a direct, powerful declaration of who he is and what he stands for, comparing himself to one of the greatest heroes in all of Chinese history. These last lines are just packed with power. First, a statement about his limitless vision. 山不厌高,海不厌深. A mountain is never tired of being high, a sea is never tired of being deep. And then the ultimate promise, 周公吐哺,天下归心. If I am like the Duke of Zhou spitting out his meal, all under heaven will flock to me.
Okay, so the first part is basically him saying, my cause is as vast and endless as the mountains and seas. But that second part, the reference to the Duke of Zhou, that is the masterstroke. The Duke was this legendary, virtuous ruler who was so eager to welcome talent that he would famously spit out the food he was chewing to go greet a visitor. It is the ultimate promise. I am so eager, so humble, and so ready to receive you that I will literally drop everything the moment you arrive.
So that brings us to the big question. Why are we still talking about this poem 1,800 years later? I mean, at its core, it's a political recruitment tool. So why does it feel like timeless, beautiful art? Well, it's because its emotional structure is just flawless. He builds his case perfectly. Step 1, he connects with you on a deeply human level about the fear of death. Step 2, he makes you, the talented person he's after, feel desperately wanted. Step 3, he doesn't just promise you a job, he promises you honor. And finally, step 4, he invites you to join him in building something that will last forever. I mean, how could you say no to that? But even beyond that perfect structure, the poem lasts because it's so vulnerable. You can feel his anxiety, his loneliness, his desperation. He doesn't just ask for help, he confesses how much he needs it. And by doing that, he taps into a desire that we all have, the desire to matter, to connect with something bigger than ourselves, and to build something that will outlive our own short, little, do-like existence. And that leaves us with one last thought. We remember Cao Cao for the empire he built with soldiers and strategy. And yet, almost 2,000 years later, it's these words, this confession of anxiety and ambition, that echo just as loudly, if not more so. It really makes you wonder, in the long story of history, can a poem, a perfectly crafted appeal to the human heart, actually be more powerful than an army?